Hi, Philip. Okay, I think we're live. Lucila's coming on. View request. Go live with Lucila.
It's my voice. It might work.
Friends, fingers crossed. Yay! Okay, I'm turning this one on and then I'm turning this one off. So, huge apologies, everyone. We had a big technical difficulty tonight due to me. It was my internet and I had a total shutdown, and I've moved to 5 different locations in the house. So fingers crossed this one works. Okay, so everyone, we have such a special evening ahead because we are here not only with one of my great creative musical inspirations, also one of my great friends. Tonight we have Lucila Al Mar. This singer-songwriter has the amazing skill of being an introverted hermit by day and captivating audiences by night.
That's right.
From the gnarly, defiant energy of punk rock to the lushness of folk music, all within the same performance will have you asking yourself, WTF? What the fuck? Hit me. Hello, Lucila.
Hello, Hattie. Hi, dear friend.
Thank you, friend. I'm just so chuffed you're online with us tonight, and you're such a huge inspiration to me creatively, as a person, as a friend. So it's a huge honor that you're here. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. So if I may dive straight in,
Let's do this
with some of the lyrics from one of your songs.
Okay.
I'm of it. I'm from it. I am beyond these words. I am an insider, outsider. Can you tell us the origin of this song and what inspired it for you?
That comes, I hope, is there a strong echo? I hear an echo, but
how's everyone doing? Can you hear echoes?
That's okay. It might just be me, but oh, the echo's gone. Excellent.
Hooray!
So what you just the lyrics you just said, I'm of it, I'm from it, I'm beyond these words. I'm of it, I'm from it, I'm beyond these worlds. I'm an insider is from a song called 24, or I call it Diaspora Blues. And that is a song I wrote on a big journey that I took from Ottawa, Ontario, all the way across Canada, down the California coast to Mexico, and then to El Salvador. And it's a journey song of my experience as being a Salvadorian, but who grew up in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and kind of that trying to find my place, trying to find my home. And especially in living in Canada, constantly being asked, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" And if I respond and I say, I'm from Ottawa, Ontario, people go, no, but before that. And I'm like, okay, but so I always have this. Now I charge people when they ask me that. I'm like $5. But it's just because if I ever change it, and if I ever change it, and I ask them, where are you from? And they're like, I'm from here. And I'm like, are you from here? Are you from Ottawa too? It's interesting because they get like, why are you asking me that question?
Wow.
So it's interesting when you flip that and you ask, because for me, usually people that ask me are like like white European people that have grown up in Ottawa and don't recognize that they themselves are as well settlers in this Indigenous land. So for me, when I flip it, I'm like, take a moment to realize that you as well are a settler. And so that song is kind of my journey. The song's called 24, and it's kind of trying to find my place in this world. And I'm like a bridge because I am of Salvadorian ancestry, but I grew up in Canada, and then I went to El Salvador. But I still kind of found it. I don't know. It was an interesting journey to be back in El Salvador and connecting with family and stuff there. So yeah, so I call it that, like, the in between space.
The in between space. That song is so powerful. And for any of you that can dive onto YouTube after this, there's an incredible live performance with a video by Shot in the Dark, a joint project by an Ottawa, is it an Ottawa community music?
I believe it was. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but it definitely was an Ottawa-based thing that they were doing, kind of like recorded performances in cool places.
Incredible. I love that. Yeah. And you are, one of the things I love about you is you have this core energy that is so strong. And I feel it when I'm with you in person, and I feel it when I'm listening to you or watching you play. It's just so inspiring to me. And thank you for sharing that about the kind of questions you get, because people are trying to understand, but what would be a way you would like to be asked about your creative heritage?
Interesting. That's a good question. Creative heritage. There's so many influences in that, just like from my bloodline, but also from where was I nourished, from where have I ventured. It takes many things to create that. But for me, it goes back to, I sadly at this moment cannot remember the talk, but it was a really good talk, and it's like, don't ask me where I'm from, ask me where I'm local. And if you write that, you'll find that's the title of the talk or something like that. But that's the biggest thing that stood out, is like, don't ask me where I'm from, ask me where I'm local. And if people are interested, like, I don't know, it's just, for me, I'm like, stop asking people where they're from. Like, for me, but yeah, I don't know, but my creative, what did you call it? Creative
heritage. Because for me, for example, my creative heritage, I might be born in Kent, but my creative heritage is somewhere in Viking lands. It's somewhere in Ireland. It's somewhere in the mountains. It's rooted in so many places, and that's not just physical. That's not just genetic. That's not cellular. That's not spiritual. It's all of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm interested in.
Ooh, okay. Well, for me, I would think my culture, my creative heritage is like definitely nature, mountains and ocean. That is very much my creative heritage. I like being out in nature, and I'm inspired, but also at the same time, I'm inspired by being on the road and like traveling. And well, when we could travel a lot, but not right now. And that's where I get, like, I feel like I pick up little songs or little gems of music along the way. So my creative heritage is like being in nature, being around trees, being around the ocean. I love swimming. So I feel like creative heritage is a mermaid somewhere.
Oh, yes.
And that's what I would say.
I love that. I've been listening to your music today, as I do often, and I'm amazed by how brilliantly you double your vocal.
Yeah.
But for anyone that is new to vocal doubling, I mean, I'm a student of vocal doubling, and we have a master in our midst here with Lucila. But when you sing a lead vocal and then you do another vocal on the same notes, so it creates this chorusing effect. I love the way you do that. Can you tell us about your process? Do you have yourself panned? Do you just go for it? What's the process?
I love it. I love things that I like. you know when something is natural and you just do it and you don't think about it, but then people listen to it and then they're like, how did you create that? Or I was like, well, actually, I have no idea. No, but for me, is like I hear stuff like, so say I recorded a particular vocal and I'll be listening to it and I'm like, oh, and then something in my brain is like, oh, it would be cool to do this other vocal. So then I hear this other vocal, and I in the studio, I think we recorded one vocal, and then I was like, wait, I hear another one, and then I just recorded this other vocal on top of it just because I was inspired. Like it just comes, or even like in the song Protest, the guitar. I'm not going to sing the guitar line, or well, I most likely am. There's a particular line that goes do 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 do, and that song, like we were just playing it, and then I was like, hold on, wait, I hear do 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 do. So I was like, we need to figure that out. So there's no like, it's usually just me being in the sound, like recording something, and then just kind of marinating in the sound, and then from there, I'm inspired, like I catch a little rhythm or I catch another line, and then that's how we incorporate it, or how I incorporate it. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. It's not like sometimes it's pre-planned, like, okay, this is, but for me, it's usually when I'm recording and I hear it back, and then I'm like, okay, now I hear this, we're gonna make this happen. Or my partner, I make him sometimes we're playing, sometimes we're working together on something, and then I hear something, but I maybe I can't find it, so I'll sing it to him, and I'm like, okay, find this. And he's like, okay. Or like I hear a piano part, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Can you do that? So then the other person will do it.
Artist producer.
Or something. I don't know what I mean.
Yeah. It's really incredible. Can you share, how does that message download for you? Do you feel it? Do you hear it? Where does it come from?
I usually hear it. I hear a particular, it sounds fun. I hear it. I hear a musical line, or I hear a vocal melody or something. And then if I feel it, I just get excited. I just get like, oh, okay, wait. I got this. And then, and then I share it, or I find a way to create that, usually it's like a vocal something, like I'll hear it and then I'll do it with my voice because that's my instrument, and then I will try to find it either on the guitar, but if I can't find it, then I'll go to work with someone and be like, hey, can you make this happen?
I love that. Yeah. Well, that's the way to do it, because you're orchestrating, actually, you're arranging and orchestrating in the moment, which it takes real insight. Do you notice there are times where you're really connected with that channel and the download of information and that guide, and then sometimes where you're not sure what to do with it? How do you negotiate those moments?
I take little moments like now, and I just like kind of wait and just like sit with it, or yeah, just take moments of stillness. And also, you can't force it. Like I think things just come sometimes. Or like right now I'm working on a song that doesn't have a title, but I just have this amazing bass line in my head that I'm like, that I won't share right now. But it's from that bass line that it's being built. Like I have a foundation, and I'm like, this bass line, from here we will go into kind of other, the guitar will do this, the vocals do this. But it's been a song I've been working on for definitely over a year, and but I'm not rushing it. It's like slowly taking its time, and then I'll share it when I feel that it's time to share it. And so for me, I just take my time with certain songs, and then when I record them, that's when I also get more, like I have some things that I've heard, like I want in it. But then when I record it, that's when also a lot of other lines will come to me, is when I'm hearing it played back, right? So I can play and sing, but when I hear it being played back at me, that I'm not doing anything, and I just sit with it and like this marinating thing that I keep saying, that's when a lot of other lines will come. And it's just kind of being with my music that I create, I guess. And that's kind of like, oh, I don't know. Sometimes it's just interesting to like you're singing and playing and you're usually expressing outwards, but then when it comes back at you, it's a whole different experience for me. Yeah. And
Yes.
trying not to be judgmental, which is for myself, because it's really easy to get nitpicky when creating,
Yeah.
creating music, creating art. But how can I just take a moment to receive what I'm creating without being judgmental is a big teaching for me. And also, one of my vocal coaches like, you know, you're a perfectionist, and that can stunt you. And I was like, oh, I know. So that
Oh,
is a little thing I have to work through. Even though people think perfectionism is a great thing, I think perfectionism is something that can stunt you from creating or sharing or kind of getting where you want to go, because it'll never be good enough, right?
it's never going to be perfect. I struggle with perfectionism as well, and it's interesting. I've asked myself sometimes, is the perfectionist really me? Or is it some other value that's been put on me by, could be a music teacher, could be someone I've met, it could be some societal expectation. Ask, is this really, where is this coming from? Because if it is coming from me, then I'm, I want to hold space for it. But at times I feel like the way I, excuse my ramble, but the way I figure it out is I think of someone else doing that kind of mistake or improvisation, and then I judge how I feel about it. And if I feel it's authentic and in the moment, then by putting it outside of myself and feeling good about it, I realize, oh, this isn't my value. This is something outside of myself. And therefore, I need to come back into my center a bit more versus living in this societal expectation. And it's something, oh, I love the way you embody that, not just in music, in your whole life. You do. I remember the first time I met you and hung out with you, it was like something hit me like an earthquake, your presence in my life. Yeah. So
All I can do is smile right now. I'm just like, I will accept these compliments. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
We have a few comments coming in. So thank you, Jane, for your kind comment. Hello, both. You're looking fab. Gary has said, Hattie, turn down your speaker. I'm so sorry. I probably need to upgrade a whole system here. How is everyone hearing? If you can let us know on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, we'd really appreciate your feedback of what I can do to improve the sound. And if anyone's very technical, then please help me. So, Lucila,
Yes.
this theme this week is about women in music. And the reason why I've been inspired to do this is not only because I'm a huge fan of so many women and I want to talk with them and you and have ideas and marinate. Oh, I'm taking your word, marinate in all this great juicy stuff that really gets my fires going. And also because I feel that together as a community of artists, as women in business, as space holders, that by discussing our environment and where we can support each other and change the narrative to make it even better, to make it even more in flow. So I'd love to ask you, what do you feel would really impact the environment of how you create and to feel supported as an artist, more supported by your environment?
There's so many layers to that. I own like my like home environment, or like my friends and family environment, or like my people that like my music environment.
So what comes up first for you? What's like the primary environment?
For me, it's definitely my home environment. That's like, especially with COVID, it's like being at home all the time. So for me, when I think of home environment, I create, especially when in having a art or music space, if possible, is important to me. And surrounding myself with like, so I do create music, but I also create like art pieces, and so surrounding myself with different forms of creation and art is important to me. Because it's another like using artwork as a form of, it's another reflection of you, and sometimes it speaks to you in different ways, like you didn't know those things were going on inwards, and then in the painting or even in journaling is like another part of you speaking back to you. That's how I see it.
Exploring a different facet.
Yeah. Or
Expression.
if you want a grotesque way of saying it, is like you might have a bunch of things going on the inside, and then you puke it onto a canvas, and you're like, oh, I didn't know I was going through all that emotional stuff. Um, so kind of, so for me, it's my home environment is a place to create, is a place to rest, is a place to, uh, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a loving space, I think, when I think of my home, and also my space where my partner and I do create. Yeah, that's all I got.
And how about, say, for example, Lucila showing up at a venue, you've got your guitar, you've got your gear.
Yeah.
What do you feel you need in these moments to prepare for a show? What things work for you in an environment? What things are challenging?
Well, when shows or like live shows were a thing, I think early on I was always like, I get nervous, right? I'd get nervous, right? And also because you never know who you're going to be worked with. I've experienced great sound people. I've experienced terrible sound people in the way that they treat me as a woman in music, not thinking that I know what I'm doing, or I request for something, but they're like, no, or I ask someone how it sounds, and for me, what's interesting is there's an organization here in Ottawa called Girls Rock Ottawa, and they run like sound check 101 workshops, like how to be a confident musician and know what quality of sound that you want, and creating that confidence in me as an artist, or and then when I do go to a live show, I feel a little bit more confidence in asking for what I want. And just because I've definitely have had negative experience at gigs where I'm not being listened to, yeah, or I'm being told like, no, you don't know what it is that you want, and I'm like, I know what I want. I know what I want.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just allowing there to be space and conversation is important at my gigs. I don't know, and having like, yeah, I think that's for me is, I don't know. Yeah, just listening, listen. If someone is sharing something, maybe listening to what they're saying or requesting, just because it's important, instead of kind of downplaying what they're sharing with you. And that goes for many things, but that is just the first one that came to my mind.
Listening is one of your incredible superpowers, because you know the way sometimes when you're talking and you know someone's listening, but they're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some difference. And I always find with you, I remember once we sat outside on the grass with our bicycles, and then we said goodbye, and your presence, my presence was, oh, Lucila's going. But I've just felt you said goodbye, you were on your bike. You know, you're not just listening to the people around you, you're listening to your environment. You're so in tune with your environment. And it's something I struggle with sometimes, with feeling overwhelmed in different environments. So to see you come in and be centered, it's, I just feel like it rubs off a little bit on me. I feel it. Oh, Oh, yes, please. And in the moment where a sound engineer might say, yeah, you're looking for 3K or something, you know, when people say, oh, you're looking for 2K in your guitar, or I'm making it up because I'm not very good at technical music terms. What's your response in those moments? Can you give us some Lucila magic about if someone slightly degrades or doesn't quite understand where you're coming from? What's your process?
Well, I usually say pretty calm. I'm like a very calm, cool, collected person. So I just kind of say, actually, no, that's not what I want. I'm looking for this, or this is what I want. And I can just reiterate what I want. And then if they're still not listening, then I'll figure out a way for myself to do it or someone else to do it. But yeah, you always have to get kind of creative with certain things. But another thing, when I think of environments, musical environments, for me, I've also changed where I don't play when we were doing shows. I wouldn't take every gig request because I'm like, no, that doesn't align with me and my values. So no, thank you. I don't want to be part of your show. For me, I like working with organizations that really care about the BIPOC community and have BIPOC artists on their headlines or on their events. That's very important. And not just having like, oh, look, we have one brown person, or look, we have one black person on our roster, so we're good. It's like, no, actually, create more opportunity, and not just in the artists, but like who are the people that you're hiring to run a festival, or who are the people that you're running to run your venue. So stuff like that is also, like, for me, I'm an artist, but I also choose where I want to play, or what organizations I want to work with, or what are the artists I want to collaborate with. I think those are things that for me are very important. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's what I think. Before I ramble off into another world.
It's wonderful. I really hear you about that, because this is about values.
Yeah.
When I was looking at some of the gigs you've played when live shows were more of a thing of the present, which they're coming back, I believe it. I noticed you have Women's Art Festival, Immigrant Refugee, Sister to Sister, Lucila Al Mar and Dimaro Mohammed, Girls to the Front Songwriter Circle. And I thought, wow, these are really fantastic organizations. These are great events, and they feel very strong in their values. And for me, it's really important when I'm looking at different gigs to go to, I'm thinking about values. So when you're asked to play a gig, you know, you get the invite. What are some of your questions to find out what the values are of this event or the organizers?
Yeah, I ask them. Well, I either, if they don't, like, if I don't know the organization, I'll look up the organization, what their purpose is, who runs it, who's in your board members, who are the people that are putting this together. What is it that they're trying to create, you know? But if I don't find this, I'll also email them about it. I may not know. Hold on a second. This is making the sound. But
it could be my end. It could be my end. So apologies.
It is all good. But just kind of for me, I would just email back and forth, asking them a little bit about themselves if I don't know who they are or what their organization is, who's funding them, like where is this money coming from? What other things would I ask? But and also seeing the other artists that are on the roster that are going to be performing.
Well, that's such a good point, because what community are you going to be in?
So I think those things are important, and for me, it's like, I know that the music industry, or like, and I'm just like, I'm not a mega artist. I'm a mini artist with I'm, like I say, I'm small but mighty. So for me, it's not quantity, but it's more like quality, and that's going to be like pretty much my life as an artist. Is like, I'm not about quantity or how much I put out, or this is like, it's the quality of the work, or the quality of the shows, or the quality of the people that I work with, and organizations that I get to perform with, or artists that I get to work with is more important to me than quantity. And that's something that just feels right for me, and that's how I work.
I love it. I love it. We've had some really wonderful comments on Facebook here. Duncan says, good to see your rapport. And Frank says, hi, Lucila Hattie. And very interesting points. It is really interesting to hear your opinion, because it's something that's such a learning curve for me. I make notes with everything. I have to make notes about what I might need to ask for, because I notice I get to a venue and there might not be a way to plug in 2 harps, only one. So then I can't play certain keys with the 1 harp. And so I have to make a really detailed note. Remember to ask, can I use 2 harps? You know, or is the backstage room really noisy and sweaty? Well, it seems like a silly question, but to find out that you have a quiet and relatively moist, efficient space, excuse me, diva over here, but if it's really, really noisy, I can't tune my harps. And even if I do tune them, once I'm out there on stage and the environment's really different, they're totally out of tune.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't really enjoy your show, and you don't feel like you're channeling your message and your art, and so you're compromised. And I love the way you say, actually, this doesn't correlate for me right now, thank you. I won't do that. And I really value that, because I think at times I've sidestepped my comfort zone to just get playing. But when I've made those decisions, it kind of eats away at me a bit. Have you experienced that? Like, experiences just eating away a bit?
Definitely. I hear you. Like, I definitely understand that. And not just like in playing live shows, but also being in a studio, and maybe you're working with an engineer that's not really listening to kind of what you want, or stuff like that. So yeah, and for me, I've learned that, like, me holding back and not being honest with what I want, or what I hear, or what like, not voicing my needs it's quite detrimental, because then, exactly what you said, it just eats at you.
Yeah.
Or say you put out a song, but you're not 100% into it, or you're not like it's not the word confident, but you're not feeling it completely. Then you're stuck with that, and you're like, oh, I like this song, but I don't really like, And for me, I'm like, I don't have time to not voice my needs, or not voice what I want, because then it just ends up costing more money, and you're gonna have to re-record that song anyway. So so no, one for me, and like, that's another thing, like, for me, working with engineers that I can communicate with, or I can that listen, that, like, for me, like, listening is a skill that a lot of people don't it's such an important skill.
It's such an important skill. Have
yeah,
you? Yeah, sorry.
No, but I definitely
I interrupted you. When we're talking about listening, I'm interrupting you. What?
What? It's okay. We're figuring out the online life today. By the way, it's my first live, because I don't really do this, but only for you, Hattie. But
I'm so grateful.
But we will go to your next question, because I have forgotten.
Okay, we shall move forward on to another question. The question is, have you experienced working with a female sound engineer, or a woman in a studio space, or in a live space? And has that experience been any different for you?
Oh, 100%. Yes. I have worked with a sound engineer that's a female or a woman. And have I worked with a see? And that's wild that I have to think about it. I'm like, why? That's it's a sad thing, but I have, and for me, it was a much more comfortable experience, and it was more, I don't know, a more welcoming space for me in that experience. I'm not saying that all my other experiences are not welcoming, but she was super welcoming and super like accommodating, and came up to me and introduced herself, and I didn't have to go searching for them. They're just like, oh, hi, blah blah blah, I'm this person, I'm here to help you, let me know when you're ready for sound check, maybe we can do it. And it was a very different experience, and I was like, oh, hi. It was just there was a more of a welcoming space, and I didn't have to go chasing someone down. They were just like, hi, this. I'm here to help you create the sound that you want today. And I'm like, oh, what wonderful. And it was great. It was like a friend vibe, and I was like, oh, I like this. Okay, so that was super nice. And then another one was like at a small it was in Toronto. It was at a small venue in Toronto, and she ran this, I can't remember the venue, but the sound engineer there was also a woman, and it was another great experience as well. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't really, that's a little too high. And they're like, okay, let me try this. And then it felt more like a conversation we were having, and not more like not someone else. I don't know. It felt like a conversation, which is a lot easier. But I'm like you said earlier, is like sometimes when it comes to sound checks or things like that, I've had to take my time to get more comfortable asking for what I need, and doing different kind of workshops to help me know, like, actually I need this cable, and actually I'm gonna need a DI, and I'm actually, there's like, for me, it's like it also takes time on my end to prepare and to get to know what I will be needing for a particular live performance and stuff. So
yes, preparation. And it's really interesting to hear you describe being in a gig venue and there being women collaborators. I haven't experienced many female live sound engineers, but a couple of engineers, and I've met a couple of female producers. Leanne Ungar was on the Leonard tour for a while doing monitors, and she's wonderful. But I have never experienced what you're describing, and hearing you say, oh, hi, I'm here to help facilitate or support you tonight, or wow, that would really feel good to me. Something I always think of when an artist goes into a venue or into a studio is each person who's collaborating in this unit is a cog in a wheel. And no cog is bigger than any other cog, because without one of the cogs, the thing ain't going to move and groove. And so I love this. I love this when I sense an artist is very much about equality and community, because when each person is recognized, I feel like I don't want to use the word machine, but the function is in flow. And I went on a tangent, but what I was meaning was, I can imagine if someone says that to you when you enter into a venue, you don't know the venue, the space, the people, it's already welcoming, and we're already communicating to create sound for whoever's going to come tonight and listen, and they're there for us and we're there for them, and it's already that feeling. You walk into a space and there's that feeling. That's really cool to hear that you were welcomed in that way. I love it. And by the way, that's not to say I think men can be wonderfully welcoming and communicative and sharing as well in the workspace. It's not and or, but we're talking about women because, as Lucila says, there are less female sound engineers when you're working, aren't there? Just there are. So nothing is forever. Nada es para siempre.
That is correct. Yes.
Tell us a bit about that title.
Nada es para siempre. Nothing is forever. It's for me a reminder that everything is constantly in flux and constantly changing. So I see it in two. Like you and I are having this conversation right now, or you and I were on a bike ride somewhere and having the best time ever. And it's like a beautiful sunny day. We're having a picnic. And Nada es para siempre is reminding me to really embrace that moment with you or with whoever I may be with, and be present. And not get so stuck in my head, like, oh, Patty's leaving or she's flying away somewhere, and that kind of getting into my head and not allowing myself to be present in this beautiful experience that I'm having.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like just know that this might not be forever, so enjoy it fully.
Yeah.
And then the other way that I see it is for me, or I'll just say it for myself, but I can apply it to anyone else. Is for me, and when I'm in a dark place or having a hard time in life, or everything seems to be going wrong, is to acknowledge that yes, everything is pretty terrible, but that this also will pass, and we'll get through it. Nothing is forever. This is temporary, and the wheel will turn. And I will have another experience, and another life will come into my life. You know. But sometimes when we're in those hard places, it feels like it is forever. It feels like you'll never come out of this rut, right? So
it does.
For me, the album is kind of that the highs and the lows, and the enjoying love, letting go of love. Yeah, so that is kind of the title. I think you froze. Yeah, on the other one. That's okay. Diggity wiggity, check it out. It's okay. While you're fixing it, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. Let me tell you a little comedy joke I have in line. No, I don't actually. I don't have a comedy joke.
Yes. Sorry, folks, for the technical challenge. We have Duncan saying here, you have such a warm smile, Lucila. He's right. Now,
It's still warm if I look good.
how are you doing your end with the StreamYard? I don't know why, but I want to say it with that voice. StreamYard.
That's okay. StreamYard shut down.
It shut down?
You left.
Okay, great. I left. I'm out of here.
Right now, the Instagram's still going.
The Instagram's going.
Back onto StreamYard if you want, or we can continue here.
Well, I think if you can give it a little click and see if it reboots.
Give it a little click. 1 second.
Thank you.
Come on, StreamYard.
Thank you. Ah, Duncan. Lovely, lovely point.
There we go. I'm back.
Oh, yay! Back on, folks. If anyone on Facebook or YouTube can tell us if they can see it, I'm so grateful.
Excellent. Now I have like two. I'm looking here and I'm looking here.
Yeah, yeah. It's wonderful. Thank you, Stefano. Oh, it's so cool to see you. Stefano is here on Instagram with us as well. Thank you. Okay, cool. I haven't seen any comments on Facebook here, so I'm just going to double check that we are still live with the wonderful Lucila Al Mar.
And Hattie Webb, the wonderful Hattie Webb. You know what's weird? I want to ask one question, but I'm like, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is. She wants to ask me questions, but I'm always want to ask you.
Oh, we've had some wonderful comments on Facebook. They're just coming through. We're both back. So Radar Roy, can you hear us? Let us know on Facebook. Radar Roy says, communication should happen well in advance of any gig between the artists and sound engineers to see what the requirements are. Nothing worse than an artist band requires something unexpected, like when you both disappear. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. We went offline for a second. There was a slight technical challenge, but I think we're back on. Let us know if you can hear us. Thank you. So we're back here with Lucila Al Mar. I'd like to ask a little bit about what feeling do you have when you're onto something creatively exciting? And how do you support that feeling in yourself?
Okay. How do I support that feeling? I make sure I give myself time to kind of explore. For me, it'd be either like lyrics, and I give myself like some time. I'm very much, I need alone time, so I just like have to go into my alone space and either write whatever might be coming up, and or if it's like a musical line, I pick up my guitar or I'll just sing something until kind of it becomes part of me. Usually it's like I'll just sing a line until it's just like in me more. Like even though it came from me, like I just need to repeat it or play it on my guitar until it's just second nature. So I'll just give myself that time to do that. And even like for me, I might not finish a song in one sitting, and that's fine. But I will do enough so that it sticks with me, and then from there I'll go back. I'll revisit it again when I've created that space for it again afterwards, like later on that week or the next day if I need to. So just allowing myself that space to do that. Yes. It's important for me. Or like when inspiration comes, taking advantage of it and using it, even though sometimes it wakes you up at like the middle of the night and you're like, I can fall asleep. I'll remember this in the morning, and then you wake up in the morning and you don't remember it at all. So for me, it's like, okay, wake up, go do it, and then come back.
Yeah. I really
doing a voice note about it.
Yeah. Do you go onto your phone and voice memos and pop it on there? And amazing. Have you ever listened back to a voice memo and you think in the moment you're recording something and you listen back and it's like with a sleepy night voice and you're like, I have no idea what that is.
Like, that what? Yeah, you're like, it sounded so much better in your brain, and then the next day you're like, what did I record? Delete. No, I'm kidding. But yes, I've definitely done one of those in the middle of the night where I think I'm recording my voice and then I'm recording a video, but it's dark, so I can't see. I'm like, what is this? But yeah, I've definitely done those.
I love that. I love that. What are the ways in which you decompress after a gig? So you've played a show, you've had a great night, you pack up your stuff or you carry your stuff home, you get home. What's the process for you? Can you share?
For sure.
How does it go for you?
For me, after a show, I'm usually, and I bet you can also relate, like energized sometimes. I'm like, I have so much energy. For me, I need like a moment by myself after a show just to really like sit with it, because that was such a big experience for me, or like such a big giving of energy or giving of self for me, that afterwards I can't go straight out like to like say you're doing a show at a venue, you can't go back straight out to like hang out. I'm like, I need a moment by myself to really like ground and connect again with myself, and just be like, okay, that we just did that, and give myself a little pat in the back, and then say, yeah, then I pack my things up to go. What I do at home, I would most likely just lay down, drink some water, eat some food, because usually before a performance, I'm like, I'm so hungry. And then after a show, I'm like, I'm so hungry. So I would try to nourish myself with water and some food, take some time just laying down, put my legs up a wall, do some yoga if I can. Yeah, just things to ground me and bring me back to earth from exploring outer space and all those things.
Yeah, I love that you do the legs up the wall. That's really wonderful for the nervous system, I've read. Is it because is it the blood going to the spine?
I have no idea. I just know that it feels good.
It feels good.
Yeah.
And Lucila is also an incredible yoga teacher and a woman of many talents. And in the first lockdown, we did a little bit of yoga together. And actually, I really need some help with having more of a structured sun salutation that I enjoy, because sometimes I get very bored and frustrated and I want to change it up, but actually the routine and the rhythm is what gives you the grounding, is I'm learning. But is that the reason why sometimes sun salutation's a bit monotonous? Excuse me, I shouldn't use the word monotonous.
I think that is in itself is an energizing practice, the sun salutations,
Right.
saluting the sun. So it's like getting that energy, moving that energy. So for me, it makes sense if you don't want to be doing that in the evening. Like maybe you want to do that in the morning to kind of wake you up, get your system going. But in the evening, if you need to do something different, sometimes for me, I do more grounding stuff and hip opening and like laying on the ground and stuff like that. Just because to help me go to bed, right? You don't want to energize yourself right before bedtime and then be in bed and be like, ah. So for me, even though I really enjoy sun salutations, because it is a definite energy, cultivating that energy and moving the body and starting to open everything up. Yeah. There's somewhere else I was going to go with that, but I forgot. My apologies.
Yeah, no, that really makes a lot of sense. Like doing the right movement, well, not the right movement, but doing the movement that facilitates where you are in the day or what you're about to do. That makes a lot of sense. Do you think having a yoga practice has deepened your groundedness and your sense of your relationship with calm when you're playing on stage?
For me, like having a movement practice or a yoga practice, I feel like it's something that reminds me of breath work. And breath work is, for me, I think of breath work as singing, because singing is breath work. And like singing has this component that can be very meditative. When you do certain like thrills or different like vocal exercises, it has a way of like, it can get you naturally high. And then you have that also with like practicing yoga and doing certain breathing exercises. It has a way of kind of learning how to use your breath as a way to calm you down, or learning how to use your breath as to energize you and kind of pick you up and move any stagnant energy. So for me, having a yoga practice, which is also a breath like a breathing practice, has, it does translate to on stage, but singing is essentially breath work to me. So it always comes back to breathing. Everything always comes back to breathing for me. So taking a few breaths before I begin a show, taking a few breaths after I end my show, taking some few breaths between my show. And it's for me, when I like always just coming back, like I'm one of those performers that I like performing without shoes. So
I love that.
And just having that connectedness to earth or to the ground or to something is very important to me. So I do weird little things to help me feel grounded. And
I love that.
And coming back into my body, because it's really easy for me to go into my brain or into my thoughts. And by doing that, then I'm not present in what I'm doing. I'm not present with the people that I'm with. So I always have to come back to my breath, come back to my body. What am I touching? So there's different little practices that I think I do that, when you do something so much, you forget that you do it so much.
Yeah. Do you think that instinct is really innate in you? Does it come naturally, or is it something you've really cultivated over the years?
I think it's something, it's a mix of the both. I think naturally, it's something that's natural to me, but also something that I've cultivated, if that makes any sense. I've been a person that has always really liked sports and movement, and ever since I was young. So then as I got older, I stopped playing. I didn't play such intensity. Like I wasn't playing soccer anymore. I wasn't playing rugby anymore. It changed into different type of practices, but that are movement, but are a little less intense for my body. I don't know. I think I've just always kept a thread of movement and some sort of form of body movement or form of in my life, and that's always kind of really helped me to stay balanced, because I realize, like, if I don't do anything, then for me it's just like I will go into like a sadness. So for me, I need to keep moving. I need to keep moving, but I mean, like, doing things I enjoy. Like, if you don't enjoy running, don't run. If you don't enjoy going to the gym, then don't go to the gym. Try if you like salsa dancing, go salsa dancing. Like, for me, is like finding activities that really help me release energy. But releasing energy, it also comes back to me. It's like this weird symbiotic thing that happens.
I love that, because I think sometimes I put pressure on myself. I must go for a run every day. But then maybe my body doesn't want to go for a run, and I'm actually not being attuned to my needs. I'm operating from up here versus within. Having a movement practice, do you find yourself, when you're playing, do you find yourself moving? What's your relationship with movement on stage and when you're playing? How does that feel for you?
It feels natural. I feel like I want to play. So I usually just play with either like me and my guitar. So like I kind of move with my guitar, depending. So I allow myself, but I imagine I would love to work eventually with like a full band, and then like play some songs with the guitar, but then put my guitar down, because then I would feel like I would move more. I'd be like just a little bit more wilder on stage.
Yeah,
But,
if you didn't have to play.
yeah. But I love playing and singing at the same time. But I usually just move around with my little guitar, or I do rock. I do a little rock sometimes, but that's my movement. No dance moves here. You won't have any choreography. Sorry.
Well, I know what you mean. I sometimes struggle because I've got to think of the levers and what I'm doing. And yeah, the idea sometimes put your instrument down and just really be in the moment. It would actually be quite freeing. But the instrument's also quite grounding. I notice when I'm playing the first song in a concert and I feel really nervous, or my hands are shaky, or I think I use my instrument a little bit as a crutch or some kind of physical protection. So maybe if someone took that away from me, I'd be like, but no, there's a real balance in that. Yeah. And I love the way you play your guitar. It's just so beautiful. I hope people will go onto YouTube and your website, and you can download Lucila's album, Nothing is Forever, and Nada es para siempre. You can get that there as well. And it's so wonderful, your record. I absolutely love it. I love the way that there's acoustic raw instrumentation, but there's also loops and electronics. Can you share a little bit about how that unfolded? How did you decide which direction to take each song? Was it just a feeling, or was it pre-planned?
Well, for like, there's one particular song there that my brother, he makes like, he makes beats or like electronic music and stuff. And so he made one of the, I heard, he's like, hey, I made this beat. What do you think? And then, so, Mujer del Agua, which translates to Woman of the Water. So he gave me that beat, and then his name is Chico 613, so he makes a bunch of different beats, and he gave me that one, and then I just wrote to it, and that one was just like me hearing it. I really liked it, was inspired, and then I was like, yeah, you'll be on the record. I really like this song, and I just ended it with it, and especially because I'm not just one, like everyone's like, what's your genre all the time? And I was like, I have no idea. It's like multi-genre. I try different things. I love, someone described me as folk hop. It's like folky, but at the same time, there's a little bit of like hip hop in it at the end. Cool. And I don't know, I have many different influences. But yeah, I had kind of, these are the songs I'm going to work on for the album. This is what's going to happen. And some of the instrumentation. And then, yeah, and then I worked on each song, one song at a time, and then I think I left 2 songs out of the album, and which is fine. They'll be collected, and then I'll revisit them and maybe share them eventually. But
okay, yeah. So when was the last time you listened to the other 2 songs?
I haven't listened to them.
It's funny that, isn't it? I noticed, like Charlie and I, my sister and I, we have quite a few songs that never were released, and like once every few years I'll listen to them and I'll have a new relationship with them, but it also unearths the relationship I had with them previously. Do you have some demos on your computer or phone, or some voice memos? Do you ever revisit them, or what's your process with that? Do you like to move forward, or do you reference stuff that you might like to bring forward?
Sorry, I think it logged me out. I like to work with
sorry,
it logged me out.
Here we go.
That's okay.
Apologies, folks.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring in.
There, we're back.
Yay!
It worked.
It worked. Sorry about that. I'm looking at you on my computer on the StreamYard, and so I didn't notice. Sorry about that, Instagram folks. I have my phone here, but I'm looking at your wonderful smile, Lucila. Yeah, so with your demos, with your previous songs that are unreleased, do you ever look back and listen back to them, or do you feel like you're moving forward and you don't reference them so much?
Oh no, I definitely go and visit them. Like I go and visit them, and I'm like, especially when I do like start working on the next album, I'll go back and listen to them and see if they're still something that is true to me, or it is something I want to put on the album if it makes sense. Like depending on, am I creating a theme for my album, or is it just going to be different songs, or so if they fall into like, yeah, I'll take time with them.
Yeah.
Because they're always there. Like for me, they're always in my brain. I'll just start singing them again, or something will happen. But and I have like a book of songs. Like this is the I can go back to it and check it out and see if I want to work on them.
Do you keep them written out in your book, so you've got a reference with the lyrics?
Yeah. In book or even online, I have like on my computer, I have a folder with the songs and the lyrics and stuff like that.
Wow.
Or I have a lot of voice notes, which is also what happens a lot.
How organized are you with your voice notes? Because I speak from experience. Sometimes mine are chaotic. I have no clue and some are on my computer 5 times, and then some are on my phone. Now I don't get rid of devices because it's like my backup. I'm a disaster. I need someone to help me organize. Are you good with the organization?
No, not at all. Okay. No. I have like, these are where my songs are. This is what they are. But voice notes is like a whole other experience, because they're just like, this is from 2019. This is from 2020. And then luckily, if I'm really working on something, like the song that I'm working on, I call it the bass song. But in my voice note, I save it as, I keep writing in the title every time I have a different. So like the bass song guitar part, the bass song chorus, the bass song until I record it on some program like GarageBand or whatever program I'm using to record, until I can put the pieces all together. So
that's so cool.
But no, it's not that organized. So yeah.
That's so cool. So we've had a couple of comments come through. France says, interesting to get an insight in your creative processes. Thank you, France. And Brent says, hello. So yeah, it really is interesting, because to hear about your process and what structural elements you fall back on, as in, I'll keep these notes here, or the bass song, you know how to label it, you know how to reference it. That's really helpful to me, because it almost solidifies my own process to reference other people, and also to be open to exploring a different process. I don't always want to stay in one lane. So I've got a couple more questions, and I wonder if anyone has a question here on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook for Lucila while we have her online here. Such a privilege to talk with you. And
no problem. While we're waiting for someone to ask a question, one of my biggest things when creating is, I am a big journaler. I have always been a big journaler. And from journaling comes many songs, comes many insights, comes many poetry or something like that. So for me, one of my biggest things is journaling as a form of creating songs, or as a form of creating a poem, or just as a form. In Spanish, there's a word called desahogar, but like desahogarse, which kind of translates to, it's a beautiful word. It's like to undrown, to like come up for air. So for me, to journal is a way to come up for air from, and put out any of this like mental chatter, and really like put that down, get it out of me, and have kind of a clean palette to create from.
That's so beautifully said. It's extraordinary to undrown.
To undrown. I know. Just how God. To undrown. I love that word too.
Oh, it really resonates with me, because I often feel like I'm drowning in many things in the world, in myself. To undrown. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
I love that. When you're writing, how do you decide what's in English, what's in Spanish, which sections, songs?
I must put you on. I must charge you. 1 sec.
Charge me up. Plug me in. Plug me in.
So for me, I don't have a. I've never like this song's gonna be in Spanish. This song's gonna be in English. It's more like I am a Spanglish speaking person. I speak Spanish. I speak English, and that's how my brain is. So like, I go back and forth. So, like the song "Mujer del Agua," "Woman of the Water," is in Spanish and in English, but I never consciously like this is going to be a Spanish song. It was just that's how it came out, and that's how I am. I speak both languages, and that's how just like naturally that's how my brain is. And for me, I like mixing them both. I like having them both in there because that's how my brain is and that's how it functions. And it's interesting because then some people will understand certain parts of the song and others won't, and I'm also okay with that. Or they can research it and then they'll understand the whole song. But I remember playing a gig in California, and after the show, this man came up to me. He's like, "I love your song." It was a poem, "Hombre sin cara," "Man without a face," and I believe that one. It's also in Spanish and English. And he's like, "I don't speak any English, but I felt everything you said," and I was like, "Thank you." Like even like through music or through poetry, you may not understand everything, but you'll feel it. You'll feel something, and I think that's as an artist, that's the strength that I have, and I'm not because people are like, you should only write in English or you should only write in Spanish. And I was like, well, I should only do what I want to do. So I'm going to write in what comes naturally to me. So that's how I work. Yeah.
I love that. I remember someone once listened to one of my songs and said, it sounds terrible when you speak versus you sing. And I really took it on board for about 2.5 seconds. And then I thought, no, I'm going to do it if it feels right. But I know exactly what you mean. There's so many more elements of communication than language. It's the feeling. So if someone's hearing you sing something in English or in Spanish, and whatever language they're understanding through the brain and through the ears, it's different from the language we understand through the body and through the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that in your music, and it is a massive strength. It's a huge strength in your music, and I hope that we'll be able to share the gift of your music to several new people here, because Lucila is breathtaking, brilliant artist. We have some questions come through.
Let's do this.
Yaland. I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly. Apologies. What do you find harder, writing poems or songs, Lucila?
I just think of songs as poetry that is sung. I don't know. They're both the same to me. Because usually, like most of my journaling turns into a poem, turns into a song, or it's all the same thing. And so I don't find either hard. They're both the same to me. I don't know. Poetry and songs are the same. I think just a song is poetry with music. That's for me personally. And especially because for me, poetry is so, it can be so different. I don't think for me, when I write songs or I write poetry, I don't think it has to rhyme. A lot of people like, it needs to rhyme. It needs to, and for me, I'm not like that. I'm more of a person that paints pictures with words. I paint these invisible pictures that people listen to. Right. So for me, it doesn't have to. It can, if you are a person that enjoys writing poetry with a rhyming scheme, then go for it. But for me, I don't really enjoy that for my type of writing and music that I create. So I don't know. Poetry and songs are the same to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And for example, when you're creating outside of the format of music, when it's some other form of creation, for example, when you're painting, or I love the way that you described exploring a different side of your psyche. And yeah, so it's all coming from the same place, the same vessel, the same channel. France says, when you write, do you already have an idea of the music, or are there separated processes?
Ooh, thank you. I think of them as, it depends on the song. So sometimes I've just had the lyrics of a song come through, and then I don't have music for it. And then sometimes I have the music come through and I just add words to it, or just like I'll have a guitar part and then I'll just keep playing it and the words will come through.
Yeah.
So it's a both. I get both. I get sometimes where it's just the words and then I have to create the music to it afterwards, and spend time with it. Or for me, I get a rhythm. Like I get up, like for me, I have this, I have a song called Return to Me, and like it goes, she moves their way, what it is from to the sky queen of it all. And I just have that rhythm. So I don't have the music for
Oh,
it.
just a little bit more. Oh, please.
But that's how, so that's how
really
sometimes like these lyrics come in and they have a rhythm, but I don't have like, I haven't written it out. I just have like this is how it feels. This is the vibe I'm going for. I hear a stand-up bass, and then I have to figure out a way to get all those instruments in, right? So sometimes it's musical and sometimes it's not musical, and then that's the little.
That's so cool. Yeah, you're following the flow. You're listening. We're coming back to listening again, but you're listening to how this is unfolding for you in the moment, and I love that. Oh, your voice. I'm not going to be too much of a stalker, but I might, when we end this, I might go and put your album on again.
Excellent.
There's just so many. Oh, one more question from James. How do you overcome imposter syndrome? James says.
You don't. Welcome to my life. You just, you don't. I don't think you overcome. Well, I don't know. I think you become aware of imposter syndrome, and and from there you keep going forward in the direction that you want to be growing in. Like even for me, I have imposter syndrome all the time. As you can tell, I keep playing with my hands because I get nervous. But for me, I have had a whole time, I'm like, I'm not a musician, or I'm not an artist, or I'm not this, and oh, I don't qualify for this, but then just taking a step back and being like, I am a musician, I am an artist, I am a creative person, I am, and just I continue forward, because otherwise I'll get just stuck in my thoughts and or my I am not worthy of, or I'm not good enough, and I could live my life like that forever, or I can allow myself to create, because even out in the world there are musicians that for me I'm like, I have no idea, I don't enjoy their music, I don't enjoy what they do, but you know what, they keep putting out music, they keep putting out, they just keep turning, so for me I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to keep putting out things that I feel like that work for me, or things that really connect with my heart and my soul, and I just keep trying. That's the thing, and I don't know where it's going to take me, and I don't know where it's going to take you, but I would say, if there's something that you want to explore, there's something that you want to do, please take the steps forward. And it doesn't have to be a huge leap. It might just be a little leap. You're going to start taking a class in that, or you're going to go to an event where it's about, I don't know, it can be anything. But I would say just allow yourself to take a few steps forward in the direction that you're being guided to go.
Yes, I'm so with you on that, Lucila, because this imposter syndrome, I really relate to that feeling. I'm not an artist, I'm not a musician, I haven't gone to university, I haven't got a degree, I've only got A levels. There's always the reasons why not, but what about the reasons why too? Yeah. And when you were talking so intuitively about this, it reminded me of Martha Graham, the dancer. I don't know if you know that quote, there is a quickening. Do you know that quote?
No, not
no
really.
Artist is pleased, there's only a queer, divine dissatisfaction. a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive. Yeah, we all struggle with imposter syndrome, but I think people do in general. I imagine you might hold your new baby and think, I don't think I'm ready or able to be a parent. I don't know this, but I imagine I could feel that. Yeah, I can really relate to that feeling. So we're coming to the close here. I'd love to just ask Lucila, what's three things, threefold. One, what's a day you look back on with joy? Two, a piece of music you keep coming back to. And three, what are you looking forward to?
Okie doke. Excellent. A day I enjoy. That's the only thing, only because I'm talking to, well, there's so many days I enjoyed. The one that I keep coming back is seeing you in Los Angeles, like a long time ago. That is a day I really enjoy. That's what came to my brain. I was like, oh, I remember. And we went and had macaroons and weird little things somewhere in Los Angeles. That was a day I really enjoyed, and saying goodbye to you as you went off on tour. I don't know. And just being in California with you, that was great. A piece of music I keep going back to. I don't have a particular piece. An artist I always go back to is an artist called Chavela Vargas. And I like going back to her music or particular songs and just listening to it. I like to listen to her interviews. She's a great speaker and like so much soul in what she says. So I just go back to works of Chavela Vargas. That's all that's coming to my head. And you would know her. There's a song called La Llorona, and she's very famous for that song. And it's a powerful, powerful song how she sings. So that would be it. And then you asked something I'm looking forward to.
Yes.
Something I'm looking forward to. Creating another album, I guess. That's super fun. Creating another, sharing some more music, getting out of my hibernating that I have been doing this winter, and creating some more music and putting it out in the world. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I really enjoy being in the studio. I really enjoy collaborating with other artists. So that is something I'm looking forward to, seeing my little seedlings coming to fruition. And something else that I wanted to share, not one of your questions, but with the imposter syndrome, is we all have a desire to do something, a desire to, like for me, it's to create and to make music and art and all these things. Everyone's desire might be different. You might want to just dance. I don't know what you want to do. But the longer, like, it's always going to come back. Like, even if you keep pushing it down, it will keep coming and scratching and scratching and scratching until you listen to it. And it might be you listen to it now, or you might listen to it when you're like 70, 80 years old. But it's all like, we can push something down, but it's always going to keep coming up until we pay attention to it and see what teachings and what stories it has for us. So, that's something I really wanted to share. It will keep coming back until you take a moment to acknowledge it and explore that.
That's so cool. And yeah, I really resonate to that. With that, also with my feelings, when I am struggling with something in myself and I try and push it down with, I'll go and have a great day out, or I'll go and hang out with a friend, or I'll write a new song, or I push that feeling away, or I eat way too much food in one sitting. But if that feeling isn't acknowledged and held space for, then it will just keep. I like the way scratching. You said it's going to come, it's going to be there. So that's so cool. Yeah, I really relate to that. So how can everyone find your music, and how can they get in touch with you if they just want to connect? What's the best way?
So as you see, my name is Lucila Al Mar. You can go to lucilalmar.com, and that's my website. And you can listen to my music there. I'm also on all like streaming platforms. But if you feel like I want to give my money straight to the artist, go to lucilaAlmar.com. But if you just want to stream me, then Spotify and all the other ones are iTunes. iTunes, I think. Yeah, those are around. Or even on social media, LucilaAlmar.com. But I'm not really, I don't post often, so I don't know if that would be fun for you. But yeah, that's how you get a hold of me.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for today. I don't know, I have this inkling, maybe it's slightly imposter, but I think it's just so much admiration. I think maybe one day when I've grown up, I'll be able to have this relationship with ground and earth and sea and mermaid that you do. I just so look up to you and really cherish your wisdom. So thank you so much for sharing these wonderful stories and these wonderful experiences and so many wise thoughts today. You're just such a delight. Thank you.
Oh, Hattie, thank you very much for asking me to do this. And like I said, I did it because I love you. And otherwise, I'd been like, no, thank you. I'll go back to my COVID, just sleeping all the time. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah. I took a shower and everything. So thank you very much.
Wow.
I really enjoyed doing this with you. And till we meet again. And can't wait to share the stage with you sometime. That's going to be exciting.
Oh,
One day,
yeah.
my friend. One day.
One day, my friend.
Yeah.
Let's put it in the angel's diary for 2020.
Yes.
Dot. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you so
everybody.
much. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and go to lucilaAlmar.com and stay in touch with us. And yeah, we're so glad to hang with you tonight. Thank you, Lucila.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Woohoo! Mm.